So, well, welcome everyone. Very nice to have you here. My name is Dora. I'm one of the organizers of Kesher, and you can also see here Sebastian, who is the other one. I'm just going to briefly introduce ourselves. This is a project that we started almost 5 years ago now. And our aim and mission is to introduce Jewish communities from all over the world. And perhaps some of you know that when we do these talks, when we do these virtual tours of different cities, different countries, we also always have a small donation that we offer to an organization or a project that we are partnering with or that we believe in or that the speaker recommends. So in case of our talks about Budapest, which actually one is coming up this Sunday. So if you are interested in joining a virtual tour of Jewish Budapest or the Jewish quarter of Budapest, then you can certainly join us this Sunday, which will be also done by Aniko, today's presenter. So in the case of the talks about Budapest, we always offer our donations to the Haver Foundation, which is a very, very impressive initiative, and we are very proud to be partnering with them, and we are very happy to have the director, Aniko Felix, here with us, who I'm just going to now introduce very briefly. She has a lot, we could say a lot about Aniko, but just a few mentions. She has a PhD in sociology, and she's participated in numerous international research initiatives addressing far-right extremism, anti-Semitism, and Holocaust remembrance. And in 2023, she became the executive director of the Haver Jewish Informal Education Foundation. So now we will learn from Aniko about this initiative, about anti-Semitism in Hungary and how they managed to fight against it. So I'll pass the word to Aniko. If there are any questions, please put them in the chat, and we'll have time for Q&A after her presentation.
Thank you so much, Dora, and thank you for inviting me, and thank you for being interested in the work of Haver Foundation. I will try to introduce you the organization briefly and having an overview about the actual state of anti-Semitism and Jewish community in Hungary nowadays. But first of all, I will share my screen with you. And I will start the presentation. Can you see me now? Or can you see the screen now? Just a second.
Not yet.
Okay, just a second. Okay, I will try again.
Yes, we can see now your presentation, but it's not yet in presentation mode.
Yes, I will do it in a second. Okay, so now you should see it.
Yes, perfect.
Right. Okay, so I will start before I go deep into the activity, methodology, and the organization itself. As I said, with a brief overview of the context in which we are working, because I think it helps to understand what we are doing and why we are doing in this way. And you might be interested in general about the situation in Hungary regarding anti-Semitism and the Jewish community. So I put some quotes here from different research. Partly I was part in this research of anti-Semitism and the political discourse about anti-Semitism and the Jewish community in Hungary. And what you see first, it was an edited book that I edited with another sociologist about the state of anti-Semitism in 4 Central Eastern European countries: Slovakia, Czechia, Poland, and Hungary. And what we found in general, that the context, the political, historical, and cultural context is very different from what we see in the US or in Western Europe. And this is not better or worse, but it's different. So there are different historical paths in which the Jewish-Hungarian coexistence went. And there is a long history of this coexistence with better and worse time, depends on different kingdoms or different leaderships. But until the end of this relatively good coexistence, the Jewish community got full emancipation. They were equal in the society. And when it changed, dramatically changed, it was after the First World War, when Hungary lost its two-thirds majority of its territory. And it was a dramatic change. It was an economic crisis. It was a political crisis. And as we all know, in this kind of cases, scapegoat mechanisms started to be be present, and this was therefore anti-Semitism started to grow rapidly after the First World War, and it led to a first anti-Jewish law in Europe in the 20th century, far before Hitler came into power. So this is the context, and this is where anti-Semitism started to be present in the 20th century, and until the very tragic end of this period, the Shoah, anti-Semitism was growing and growing, and it led to the almost complete annihilation of the Jewry in the countryside of Hungary and partly of the Jewish community in Budapest. But the Budapest Jewish community survived because the deportation finished or were ended by a decree in July 44. So the mass deportation started before it led to the Budapest ghetto, or the Budapest community, sorry. So therefore, a relatively big number of Jewish community survived the Holocaust in Hungary. I'm just going very rapidly through history, so I'll jump into the next step, the next station of this coexistence, which was the communism. During communism, it was forbidden to practice religion. It was officially also forbidden to be an anti-Semite or doing anything which is anti-Semitic. In theory, it happened. In practice, it was different. But it was true that everything was suppressed and nothing was allowed to remember what happened during the Holocaust, to talk about our Jewish identity. So everything was under the surface, and it was a big change again when the regime change happened in '89, and it was allowed to be a Jew again, but it was also allowed to be an anti-Semite again. So far right started to grow again, but the Jewish community who remained after the Second World War, mainly in Budapest, also started to live again. It's still, we can say that there is a colorful Jewish life, mostly in Budapest, partly in the countryside as well. What you can see here in the picture, it's one of the biggest synagogue in the world, which is in the Jewish quarter of Budapest. It's still the symbol of the Jewish life in Hungary. It's a touristic attraction, but it also symbolizes this long past, long history of coexistence here. So very briefly, this is where we are now. So we have 100,000 big Jewish population, mostly in Budapest, also in the countryside. And we have different youth organizations, we have cultural organizations, and federation, obviously. So this is from the Jewish side. And if we go to the political side, the political discourse about Jewish people and anti-Semitism, we have to mention that we have a right-wing government since 2010, who is, we can say, ambiguous towards these topics. So on one hand, they are very verbally and entirely pro-Israel, and they are very proud to be on Israel's side. And on the other hand, there are elements in the rhetoric which are, I would say, questionable regarding anti-Semitism. So, for example, the propaganda, what this government is using, many times mentioning the power of background powers and other code words or cultural codes which are related to what we call conspiratorial type of anti-Semitism. To put it in a simple way, conspiracy theories, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. And one example of this rhetoric is it was a billboard campaign a few years ago where George Soros was being shown as the enemy public enemy number one, who, according to this narrative, wants to destroy Hungary or at least manipulate the Hungarian politics. And this is obviously a conspiracy theory, which has an anti-Semitic element, because George Soros was born in Hungary in a Jewish family and a known Jewish person. And the whole billboard campaign contained anti-Semitic aspects. It's important to mention because in the schools, we also face this kind of anti-Semitism a lot. And the other kind of element of this problematic aspect of the political discourse it relates to the narration of the Hungarian responsibility in the Second World War, the responsibility of the Hungarian leadership and the responsibility of the Hungarian people actually in the Holocaust. And many times the responsibility is minimized, or even a Holocaust distortion is present in some cases by political leaders. And I will show you a few examples of this in a minute, but it's also important that because of this emphasis of good relation with Israel, the Hungarian Jewish community is described in a way by the political leadership as one which is very secured and safe in Hungary, in what we call in sociology the securitization of the Jewish community. So the only aspect that they are focusing on, which is obviously a very important aspect, especially nowadays, that they are physically safe. We are safe. We don't have that kind of attacks and terrorist attacks, and we can wear traditional clothes or kippah, everything in the streets. So it's on one hand it's good, but it's also on the other hand somehow neglect the other aspects of Jewish life and focusing only on safetyness of the Jewish community. And just very briefly, two examples of this Holocaust distortion, two very tangible symbols, two statues, which were erected by this administration. One is by the government, which is the monument of the German occupation, where Gabriel Archangel is Hungary, who is attacked by the German ego, which means that Hungary was innocent and the victim of the Nazi Germany. The other monument on the right side is a bird, which was a Hungarian symbol for the so-called Árpád dynasty, which was a dynasty in the 13th, 14th century. But it was also used as a symbol of the Hungarian fascist party, the Hungarian Arrow Cross party, who took the power in 44 October and who did committed brutal massacres and was taking a very big part in the annihilation of the Hungarian Jewish population. So they use this symbol, and this statue, this particular statue with this bird, is actually was built for remembering the victims of the Second World War, with this bird, which was a symbol of the Hungarian fascist party. And if it's not enough, there were names on the statue as victims of the Second World War. And later it turned out they were not victims, but actually perpetrators who committed a massacre in this very place when this bird is still standing. So these are just few examples of how Holocaust is narrated by, and the Hungarian responsibility is narrated by the current government. And a few items related to from polls about anti-Semitism, representative polls in Hungarian society. So related to Holocaust distortion, 16% of the population think that most of the tragic acts were fictions created by the Jewish people after the Second World War, and 66% of the population think that Hungarians suffered at least as much as the Jewish people. So this relates to this kind of competitiveness or competitive victimhood, which is very strongly present in the Hungarian society. In general, 1/4 of the society can be described as strongly anti-Semitic. You can see here on the right side 2 items related to conspiracy theories, which you can see is very highly accepted by the population. So 54% think that Jewish people are money hungry, 53% thinks that there is a Jewish background power. But related to Israel, it's a quite different picture. So 83% think that Jewish people have the right to have a state. At the same time, 77% think also that Palestinians also have the right to have a state. And this poll was made after 7th of October. So you can see that there is a difference between what we see in the US or in Western Europe. People are quite neutral, or even we can say positive toward Israel. And this was the background. And now focus on Haver and our history, first of all. So Haver Informal Jewish Education Foundation was founded in 2002 by a network of young Jewish people who thought that it's important to do something against anti-Semitism, this growing anti-Semitism and growing far-right movements, what they experience in their everyday life. And I put here kind of a mix of our mission and vision, so what we are doing and why. So our mission and vision together is that to challenge stereotypical thinking and prejudiced attitudes in young people, as well as to contribute to the emergence of a society where living together is based on curiosity, reciprocal understanding, and shared values. So this is basically the big statement. And related to our name, it's also, I don't know how many of you are speaking Hebrew, but if you know Hebrew, you know that Haver means pale or body in Hebrew. But the funny thing is that it has the same meaning in Hungarian. So that's why this name was found. And we also doing the meaning of this word. So we make connections between Jewish and non-Jewish young people. And I will tell you a little bit later how. Some numbers that last year we did for schools, 89 session. Oh, sorry, I went back accidentally. And we reached almost 1,600 students. And we have a volunteer community that I will explain a bit later, that who are these people who were around us, who did these sessions. And the sessions that we made were made also in the capital and in the countryside, so in the whole country. And a little bit about our organization itself. So we have 9 board members. We have two staff members who you can see here. We have an office in a synagogue, which was recently renovated. And on the 4th floor of this synagogue, there is a co-working space for Jewish and non-Jewish NGOs. Kesher also has an office there, and our office is also there. And here we are working as a staff, and we have 2 external workers and, as I said, 15 to 18 volunteers. However, is operating in a way in other countries as well. We have a sister organization in Serbia who was inspired by the Hungarian Haver, and they also established a Haver organization in Serbia more than 10 years ago with the help of the Hungarian Haver. And we also have a Friends of Haver in the US. One of our board member is living actually in Miami, and he established, it's a quite new thing. If you are interested later, I can tell you or email you more about this organization as well. So this is our staff, and let's speak about our methodology, which is a core thing. Everything is around these 2 words called contact hypothesis, which was written down first by a sociologist, Gordon Allport, which says that actually the contact itself with this representative of certain minority groups can help to prevent prejudices, or even it can help to decrease already existing prejudices. And this is not only a hypothesis, it is something that was proved many times. Until recently, it is still the strongest way actually to reduce or prevent prejudices. There are many research, psychological research from different countries that still says that this is one of the strongest or the strongest way to intervene or prevent prejudices. So this is why we rely on this hypothesis and method itself. So we have basically this volunteer community. They are around the age of from 16 to 30 maximum around. So we can say that this is peer education, because we are going to from elementary school until university students. We have different sessions for different age groups. I will talk about it later. So this is peer education. Our volunteers are from the Jewish community. They have a Jewish identity, and we select them who are applying. From them, we have a selection period, and then we have a training for them, when they not only learn our sessions, but we give them a lot of information, and we also improve their skills and knowledge gradually to be able to enter the school and have the sufficient knowledge to do the sessions. What is also important that they do the sessions, but even more important, to share their own story, their own Jewish identity, and with which they get closer actually to the audience. And this way, with this personal, very unofficial atmosphere, the students can actually ask those questions which they could not otherwise. And we almost only all the sessions we experience something that something like a taboo showed up, and the students ask questions what they heard at home about the Jewish people, stereotypes, and this way, with this unofficial and really friendly atmosphere, we can actually discuss these things. So this way we can transfer actually messages and build those bridges that we want. And all of these things that I mentioned until now regarding the methodology is we can summarize it in one phrase. It's a non-formal education, which is the opposite of those kind of classes that they have in schools when they are just sitting and listening and answering the good answers for the questions. we try to create an atmosphere where everybody is relaxed and there are no bad or good answers, but there is a discussion and everyone can share their opinions, their feelings. So this is the setting that we are actually using. And a little bit about the exact sessions that we are doing. There are 4 main sessions that we are doing for schools. The first one, the oldest one, it is now 23 years old. We always adjust it, but this is still, the basic is the same, is the identity session. When we're actually talking about Jewish identity, how it is to be a Jew in Hungary nowadays, we always do the sessions with 2 volunteers, so they also complete each other and also sharing 2 stories, 2 different stories of the Jewish background and story and personal identity. So that's why it's important to have 2 volunteers in each session. And in this session, this 90-minute session, we at some point of the session, we show photos of people that to the students, and they have to decide whether the person on the photo is Jewish or not. And in this way, we try to provoke them a little bit to see what kind of stereotypes they have. And they sometimes say that this is not a Jewish person because she is working in a shop, and Jewish people are not working because they are rich, and this kind of things. So we try to provoke them, and at the end of this stage of the session, actually say that all the people on the photos are Jewish. And then we try to challenge these stereotypes in different ways. But to challenge them, first of all, we need to see what kind of stereotypes they have. And what is important in this session and all the sessions, that we try to put a session in the session when the volunteers are sharing their personal stories, and when the students can ask anything actually what they are interested in about the Jewish identity of the volunteers. The second session is a Jewish Quarter walking tour. That based on that, that I will do the session on Sunday, but in a really adjusted way. But this is the core Jewish Quarter walking tour that we also adjusted for many years, but the main message of the main goal of this walking tour to actually introduce the past and the present, this very rich past and also the present of this Jewish quarter, where actually the ghetto was built during the Second World War. But before, there is a great history of this quarter, but we also talking about sociological questions, urbanistic questions, and we try to do it in a critical way, in an interactive way. And here also personal stories are embedded, because all the volunteers have somehow connection to the Jewish quarter, or this history of this place. And this is just to show you, we always give to our participants the so-called Jewish Quarter journal, where they can find a summary of this walking tour, and also some small tasks and things that they can do in the walking during the walking tour and after in this area. So this is about the second session. The third session that I would like to show you is the so-called small buddy, or small chaver, which is for elementary school students from the age of 11 to 14 years old. And this session is mostly about identity in general. So in Hungary, at least in Hungary, but I think in many other countries, it's not something that usual for this age group to talk about identity. So what we what we found that this is very important to, first of all, have a first encounter with the word, and also then to think about their identity. So the whole session is about identity in general, and they have to, with the help of this small pictures, they have to actually select those that describe the most their identity. And we having different discussions about it. And part of this session, we also showing our own identity tabloid, where the Jewish identity is also present with the David star, and we explain it in a way that how it is part of our identity in general. So this is how the Jewish element is there, and this session is generally about belonging to a group, how it is to be part of a group, and how it is to be actually excluded from a group. So this is the thing that we discuss. And interesting thing that, for example, last year, a high school invited us for the freshman camp to have this session, because the teacher realized that it can help to create a community as well. Because they will know each other more, and they can also understand that they are a community, and this is good if they get together and belong to this community. So it's something that can be used this way as well. And last but not least, this is the recipes for survival, which is a very interesting session based on the story of a Holocaust survivor who gave an interview as a Holocaust survivor around 10 years ago. And when she was telling things and showing things to the interviewer, and showed a book, and accidentally from a book, some recipes fall down. And the interviewer asked that, oh, what are those recipes? And the lady said that, oh, this is just the recipes that we wrote in the concentration camp. And the interviewer was really surprised and started to ask more about this. And based on this very interesting story, that there were some women who actually, in order to survive, in order to be normal in this abnormal situation, they actually wrote down recipes. And based on this story, a theater play was written with this title, Recipes for Survival. And based on the theater play, we made a session which is about the play and also about big questions related to history, and how we can place ourselves in big historical time, how a person can decide or not if she or he wants to be part of the history, because this woman and her story is mostly related to cooking actually and baking, but she could not exclude that history went through her life actually, and there was no choice for her to be part of it, whether she wants or not. So we are discussing these kind of questions, and we also reflecting our nowadays life, if we are as students, or these students are living in big historical time or not, and what is the responsibility of a person for history and for being part or not taking part in anything. So this is what is our Holocaust session. It's not only about the Holocaust, it's a big part of it about the Holocaust, but it's also about the 20th century in general. And a little bit about the prejudices that we face and stereotypes that we experience in the classes. So first of all, the knowledge that the students have mostly come from their parents or social media, or from the public discourse that I mentioned in the beginning, which is channeled in every media, TV. So they heard things as everywhere, obviously. So this is their knowledge based on that mostly. What they hear from schools, in schools about the Jewish people is mostly about the Holocaust and nothing else. And what is important that we are the first Jewish people they meet. So we have to we don't represent the Jewish community, but we have to have obviously a good impression, and many things is based on this encounter. So it's a big responsibility. And the exact stereotypes that we face mostly related to these conspiracy theories, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, as I mentioned in the beginning, and many times related to Holocaust distortion and actually the responsibility, questioning the responsibility of the Hungarian nation in the Holocaust. So this is basically what we face, and again the difference between the other side of the world, the globe, what in the US might be different, that we don't face with anti-Semitism related to Israel that much, because what we can see obviously in the society in general, according to the polls that I showed you in the beginning, we can experience almost the same in schools. So they are more like interested and asking questions related to the Middle East conflict, but they don't have a strong opinion or hateful comments on that. So this is what we experience now. We don't know what will happen in the near future, but this kind of anti-Semitism is not strongly present either in the school and in the society either. What I also wrote down here is also important, that we are actually build our method to focus on prevention, to prevent anti-Semitism. But what we experience many times, that teachers are calling us when there is like, for example, a Jewish student is bullied because of his or her Jewish origin, and they call us that please help. And this is not the ideal situation, but what we experience that Haver methodology can also help in these kind of situations, when we discuss broadly the positive side of being a Jewish person, and we are not going there and talking about anti-Semitism as a bad thing. We don't talk about anti-Semitism, we talk about Jewish life, Jewish identity, and this way we can bring the topic closer to the students. So what we always send out a questionnaire for the students after the session. And what we get back most of the time is that they learn things, factual things, which is important. So they, for example, they learn what kosher means, they enter a synagogue. So there are things that they learn. But the most important part in almost every feedback or feedback form is that they really appreciate this kind of conversations, the atmosphere that we create, and that they can talk without taboos. And this is something that we are really proud of. And from the teachers, we also get back the feedback that actually the community is working better after our sessions, which is also very important and good. And they keep calling us back, so it also means that we are doing not that bad things for them. Obviously, to answer that question, if we can gain attitudinal change in their minds, it's really hard to measure long-term attitudinal change. We had some surveys in the past. Long-term, we are following some students, but one or two sessions cannot change the world, but it can change a lot of things. This is what we believe in. And last but not least, we also have a community for our Haver volunteers, these young people who are trained to go to schools. They are not only going to schools, but they are part of this Haver community, which means that we try to offer them different also fun activities like going to theater, cinema, or having dinner. We have a retreat every year once with them when we have also fun activities, but we also discuss different sessions, exchange, and sharing our experiences as Haver volunteers. And we also create a community in these meetings and retreats. And we also have kind of knowledge-based meetings when we try to provide them information that are needed in order to be a more, first of all, whole person, but also to be a better Haver volunteer. So the last one that we did was about unfortunately, obviously about the Middle East conflict, because after the 7th of October, we had a meeting with our volunteers when all of us shared our emotions, our feelings, and this was just about that. But at the end of the meeting, we realized that what the thing that we can offer as Haver, as a team of Haver, to actually provide them knowledge about the Middle East conflict, to have some kind of ratio in this irrational, complicated situation. So we provide them a series of lectures by different Hungarian and international lecturers from different disciplines, geopolitical expert, historian, experts on how to actually have education on the Middle East conflict, and human rights experts, so different aspects of the conflict, and this was one thing that we found that it's important, and we also have a responsibility when a student asks something about that we have a basic knowledge, obviously, about what's happening in the Middle East. And last but not least, so we are already in 2025, and I wanted to show you at the end two recent thing that happened around Haver. In the beginning, I was talking a lot about how bad and how anti-Semitic is our political atmosphere is, but I would like to somehow color this image or make it less dramatic or more complex, whatever you like, that apart from that we have a very controversial political leadership regarding anti-Semitism and regarding exclusion and hate propaganda. There are like local political figures who are not that in that narrative, or they're not sharing this discourse. And this is actually a commemoration of the liberation of the Budapest ghetto, which had the 80th anniversary in a few days ago. When we had a commemoration, I'm also the vice president of the Jewish Community Forum Association, and we organized a commemoration. And the other people who can see next to me is the mayor of the district where the Jewish quarter is, and the mayor of Budapest, who was also present and had a speech, and he had a very nice speech. And they representation is very important, and it makes the political sphere more complex, and it's also important that we have actually their symbolic support here. And the other more joyful activity was our training for new volunteers that happened yesterday. And we have new volunteers who are now under training, and they are eager to go to schools and continue our mission. So this is 5 new volunteers, and we have +3 who is already started the training. So I will end with this, and thank you so much for the opportunity, and I'm happy to answer your questions. Thank you. I will stop the sharing.
Thank you so much, Aniko. Thank you for this beautiful presentation. And of course, thank you everyone for being here. Tomorrow, as always, we will share with you both the email address of Aniko that you just saw on the slide, also the recording of this session, and also we'll share with you some ways how you can also support Haver if you would like to support their activity, either by donating to them, or you can also join Aniko on Sunday for the tour of the Jewish Quarter of Budapest, where also some of the contributions will go to Haver. So that's also another way. Aniko, there are many questions, so I will try to read all of them. You can answer them briefly, and then later on, perhaps some of the participants will be in touch with you as I see the interest. So some of the questions still came from the beginning of the talk. When you say pro-Israel, isn't it more accurately pro-Netanyahu, the right-wing connection between Orban and Israel's prime minister?
Right. Good point. Yes, we can phrase it like that, because they have an allyship, and they have a same political agenda. So this way, yes, it's more correct. Yeah, but now Netanyahu is representing Israel, so in a way it's kind of equal. But in the discourse, in the real talks, the Hungarian leadership uses the word pro-Israel, like Israel, not only Netanyahu. So yes, this is true.
Thank you. What is the status of the House of Faith, if you know
Very
anything
good
about that?
question. Yes, I know. So for those of you who don't know what House of Faith is, it was an initiative of this right-wing government to create a new kind of Holocaust museum, which is focusing on the children victims of the Holocaust. And it was very problematic discourses about this building. Those kind of historians were involved who are questionable, who related to this kind of Holocaust distortion map of Hungary. So it was controversial from the very beginning. And then later they invited experts from Yad Vashem and other Holocaust memorial centers to be part of it, and it was delegated to the Hungarian Chabad community after a while to lead this initiative. But last year there was an information, like it was, I think, public as well, or half public, that they stopped the project. So actually, the building was built. It's a huge building next to a train station, but it's completely empty, or at least nothing is for the public there. So it's there's a big house, and they already said that they stopped it, and nothing will happen with that, or at least at this point we don't know what will happen with the building.
Thank you very much. You mentioned about the partner organization in Miami, and we have a participant, Michelle, here, who would love to connect with the director. And also, I'll just connect this question to a general question: how do you think that this could be replicated in the US in other areas, or how does this work in the US? If someone wants to create something similar, how would they go about it? So if you can just comment on the US connection a little bit.
Yeah, first of all, we are happy to connect, and I will connect you with our board member in Miami. And yes, we had some federations already who were interested in somehow copy or doing something similar in the US. So we started conversations. It didn't go that far to actually start the work, but we have this kind of interest from different federations that we started to talk about it. We are open for that, and of course, like the methodology is something that can be replicated, but it has to be contextualized, especially nowadays with this strong anti-Semitism wave that and this really like. The situation that the condition now it's different, so there is much work needed, but it's possible as it happened in Serbia. And I forgot to mention that we also have a sister organization in Hungary who are doing the same, but with the Roma volunteers, Roma Gypsy people who are who was also, they were also inspired by us, and they're also working now for 10 years with the same method. So it works. Yeah.
Thank you. Is there a big difference in between Budapest and the countryside, I guess, in terms of schools that you visit?
Yeah. It's tricky because in a way, yes, because Budapest is really like a center of everything, unfortunately, and the countryside is really not that developed in many ways. So in a way, yes, but is even more matter in terms of differences, that what type of school we are talking about. So there are schools for technician schools, or schools where you can gain a profession. These kind of schools are having less knowledge, and they are actually sometimes more honestly share us they stereotypical thinking, and they are more open to have a honest conversation. Meanwhile, those schools who are those high schools where they have broader knowledge, they are more sophisticated, they know how to phrase nicely things. Sometimes we have less honest conversations, and we cannot go that far, and we are less productive sometimes because they are not openly sharing they stereotypes or what they think, because they think it's not nice to share. So there's a difference, but it's not always means that the less sophisticated atmosphere is worse than the one which is more sophisticated. So yeah, there are differences but similarities, and in each and every school is different actually, and everything is we are learning a lot about the country we are living in. So it's a good experience this way as well.
Thank you. Is it possible that the anti-Semitic sentiments are correlated to the pro-state of Israel percentages, not out of positive feeling, but more motivated by wanting the Jews to go to Israel rather than remaining in Hungary?
So if I understood correctly, that
that they support Israel because they want the Jews of Hungary to go to Israel and to stay in Hungary.
Okay, then I understood well. Yes, I don't think so. No, they are really neutral about that. So they think it's far, and there are other surveys about the Hungarian society that they are really, like we are Hungarians, close-minded, unfortunately, and we are not really taking care about things that are working out of Hungary. Sometimes we are not focusing or not caring about things that working here either. But it's this kind of apolitical sentiments, or having our mind a bit close to the world, is somehow connected to the heritage of socialism or communism, where there was a deal between the leadership and the people that if you are chilled and you are not protesting, you are not make your voice heard, then everything will be fine. So this kind of not really caring about the conflicts in other part of the world is really common, and I think this connects to this is the explanation of this neutral sentiments toward Israel, and also the propaganda that they hear on TV, in the media, the state related or state owned media, which is actually very friendly with Israel.
Thank you. I'm going to read the comment of Lawrence. I'm a filmmaker in Toronto, Canada. Some years ago, I produced a film in Budapest at the site of the shoes on the Danube River. I'd be happy to talk to you about making it available for your educational program.
Wow. Thank you so much. I would be really interested. I think this memorial is fantastic. It's really get to the point, and very sophisticated, and very nice and very important. So we would love to see that and using it. Thank you so much.
Great. Is there a favorable reaction to Haver outreach from the Catholic Church in Hungary, or maybe Catholic schools?
Mm. So regarding the different denominations within the Christian Church, we don't have unfriendly relation with the Catholic Church or Catholic schools. It's more like they're not really calling us. We don't have connections with them, but we have connections, for example, with the Calvinist Church and with Calvinist schools. I didn't find the reason, honestly, why, but they are very open to us. So sometimes we have long-term connections, and we have like now a long-term contract with the Calvinist school. So we are more with in connection with them, but we don't have bad network with the Catholic Church either.
Thank you. Do Jews hope to stay in Hungary, or do they want to emigrate? If the latter, then where to?
Mm. So I think it's a complex thing. So many of the Jewish people in Hungary are critical towards this current administration. Now it's changed a bit after the 7th of October, and it is really a proclaimed pro-Israel or pro-Netanyahu discourse of the government, but they are still like oppositional they have oppositional political view according to surveys, and therefore they don't really satisfied with how Hungary is going nowadays. So I would say that not anti-Semitism is the main reason, but many of them are considering to move or already moved. Yeah, I would say that it will go in this with this tendency more and more if things will not change here politically. But on the other hand, because of this safety net, which is very important, and because of the atmosphere, the Jewish life, this vital Jewish present here, especially in Budapest, it's also charming, and it's also that means that people are staying if they want to practice religion, if they want to feel safe. So it's the opposite side, but people are staying also because of that, and people sometimes coming back because of they feel threatened in Western Europe, for example. So they feel more safetier here. We're safetier here.
Thank you. I'm going to read another comment from Miriam. My mother, Katalin Szász, or Zehava Szász Stessel, has books about life in Hungary pre-World War II, as well as during World War II in Hungarian, Hebrew, and German. Feel free to contact me about that. So if Aniko or if anyone else is interested, Miriam put her email address in but we can also share it with whoever reach out to us, or we are happy to include it in the follow-up resources.
Thank you. I'm definitely interested in.
Thank you. Has the amount of reported anti-Semitic incident changed through the years?
Not really. I wrote this summary of incidents for the federation for 2 years. The last one was 2 years ago, so I don't have the data from the last 2 years, which is I think that you are asking about. But what we know from the news and as an active part of the Jewish community, it's not significantly increasement of attacks. So definitely not as much as in Western Europe, in the US, or no, nothing like that.
Thank you. Do you know the percentage rate of Jewish, non-Jewish intermarriage in Hungary, and is it changing through the years?
Ooh, good question. I don't know the percentage. I think it's high, but there are also two tendencies next to each other. On the one hand, there is a great history of coexistence, as I briefly introduced you in the beginning. So many people, the Hungarian Jewish community felt for a long time, majority of them very Hungarian. They had a Hungarian identity, and they also decreased their religious practices in order to be more Hungarian, and therefore the number of the mixed marriages also increased during history. On the other hand, nowadays I think many Jewish people go back to their origin or their roots, and they think again that it's very important to practice and also to have a Jewish life, and therefore they also choose a Jewish couple, Jewish partner. So I don't have exact numbers, but I think there is not a big increasement or decreasement of this, because these two tendencies are parallelly exist.
Thank you. I know we are out of time, but we still have some very interesting questions. So if Aniko, you're okay, I'm gonna
absolutely happy to.
I'll read just a few more. I'll read a comment from Linda. My friend Louise Vashvari has collected hundreds of recipes from women who were in concentration camps. So I don't know if you know about them or if you'd like to again connect and.
Yeah, I would love to. If you will read down, or I know that the Zoom is not saving the comments, but you will, I guess. So yeah, so I would definitely love to. I know that. So this woman I mentioned, she was in Theresienstadt, but I know that there were women who wrote recipes in Auschwitz as well, and it's exhibited in Yad Vashem. So, but if there is more, I think it's a fascinating research topic as well. That in many places, actually, people had the same way to survive, and it would be very interesting to know and learn more about other recipes and yeah, thank you so much.
So Linda, if you can send it to us or to Aniko, that would be great. And I also see Susan commented that she knows books with English translation, such books of English translation. So Susan, you are also welcome to share with us if these books. We'd love to know about them. Are the students that you interact with going to public schools? Or so basically your sessions, are they in public schools, in private schools, in religious schools? And is there any resistance to bringing this to students, like there is to teach about racial prejudice and slavery in the US? Like, are there kind of schools or teachers who are very resistant to?
Mm. So we are going to all kind of schools where we are invited. So mostly because majority of the schools in Hungary are public schools. We are going, the majority of the schools are public schools, but we also go to private schools and church schools as well. So the ratio is that like 85% of the schools are public schools. And regarding resistance, so the way we are operating, that we are called by the teachers. So those teachers who are inviting us, they don't have obviously any bad feelings toward us, but it's not the same necessarily for the entire teacher group in the school or the teacher community. So sometimes we have bad comments from other. We know from the teachers that they get back from their peers that they are not really welcoming us. This is something that we have to live with. The even more problematic thing when we have a resistance from the center, who are actually leading certain school areas. So there are school districts. This is the way how, very centralized way, how the Hungarian education system works nowadays, that there are a head of different schools who are actually can have a veto towards certain activities. So if they think that it's not something that they should actually invite, then they can ban us. And we started to experience that there are regions in the country where we are not welcome. So this is also part of the reality. It's not necessarily anti-Semitism. It can be, but it can be also like they are cautious that do not have anything by accident which can be hurtful for them by the government. So because of this controversial communication toward the Jewish community of the current regime, in the head of this school districts directors, maybe they are a bit confused that, okay, now this Jewish topic is something that is welcomed or not. So they are on the safe side to say that, okay, you cannot come. So it also happens sometimes.
Thank you very much. I'll read another question from Linda. When I left Budapest in 2013, where I had lived with my Hungarian-born husband for 19 years, the Orbán government had removed the tax-exempt status for liberal or reform congregations. Is that still true?
Yes, unfortunately. For some churches, they get back some of their statuses, but mostly it's true for so it's really political that who has this tax redemption. Yeah.
Status, yeah. Thank you. Has anything similar been discussed in Prague?
If there is anything similar in
Anything similar like Hover that you know of, or?
I don't know in Prague, and there is a similar initiative in Austria, Germany, and Switzerland, but they are just it's also very important, but they are going to schools with young Jewish people and talking. So they don't have sessions and methodology and this educational setting that they developed, but they are just doing it in an informal way. That's what I know.
I'm not sure if you mentioned this, but is there anything in Austria and Germany or Switzerland in similar initiatives?
What are those initiatives? Yes, the name I I need to think about it. This is one organization also that they are operating. Sorry, I cannot recall the name now. I will write or during our conversation. Maybe it will come.
Okay. And is it, do you know if it's one organization or each country has its own?
One, they are one. This came from Switzerland, and they made it in Austria and in Germany as well.
Thank you very much. So we will close for today.
Likrat. This is the Likrat. Yeah.
Likrat. Okay, so we have the name. Wonderful.
Right.
And thank you everyone who shared questions and resources and everything else in the chat. We really appreciate all of this. You can either email us directly on the Kesher email address. You can just answer the link where you received the Zoom link if you want to share with us any resources or further questions. And we will also send out tomorrow follow-up resources. Well, you will also receive Aniko's email address, so you can be in touch directly with her. And we'll also share, of course, information about the Budapest talk that is coming up this Sunday. And actually, we also have a talk on Thursday, which will be about France. You are also welcome to join us then. So I just want to say a big thank you once again for Aniko. And of course, thank you everyone for joining us. And I want to pass back some closing words to Aniko before we close the session.
Okay. Thank you so much for being interested, and I saw your eyes, and thank you for the comments and for the many materials that you mentioned. I'm really interested to learn more about each of them. And if you want to know even more about Hover, I'm really happy to talk with you and being in touch. So please reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Aniko.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining, and have a wonderful rest of the day.
Bye.
Bye.